guys, it's Olivia and welcome back to Live in Literature. Thank you so much for all the love and support I received to my last video, and if you have not seen it yet, feel free to head on over to my channel to check it out. Well guys, I hope you are all enjoying your start of spring, maybe for some of you. For me, definitely not. It started to snow today. Boo.
Oh my god, definitely not. That does nothing for you. I hate that.
But I hope you guys are all having a wonderful winter/spring. We're getting to the tail end of things and we're entering March. And what I find for a lot of people is once we enter the month of March, I don't know why this happens. I see it amongst the book community. I see it amongst my friends and peers and things like that. Everyone starts to enter a book slump in March. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's just like the longest month of the year and it just feels like the longest time ever besides January. I feel like January and March are like the longest months ever. But everyone starts to enter a book slump. And so I am here with some incredible recommendations for you to help you get out of that book slump and to sometimes try something new. Because when I'm in a book slump, sometimes the thing that helps me get out of the book slump is doing one of two things. Is I'll either read something that I know traditionally is going to excite me and I know will like be an absolute smash hit, read of a book or whatever. Like I know it's exactly what I want. It fits the blueprint. It matches my vibe. Or I'm going to do the opposite. And this is what I'm going to recommend for you guys today. The opposite, and do something that's like a little bit outside of my book comfort zone just to get things started, just to jog the old book system, just to move things along.
But if I keep my body moving and my mind occupied at all times, I will avoid falling into a bottomless pit of despair.
And that's why in today's video, I'm here to recommend some whimsical/cottagecore fantasy book recommendations. Now, whimsical/cottagecore. Basically, I have been very much in my forest fairy vibes. I've been very much in my Pixie Hollow energy, very much in my fairy, like cutesy bootsy, like whimsical, like I bake bread in my cottage and I go feed the little folk that live outside in the garden and I pick flowers and
come my little friends as we all sing a happy little working song.
It's all cutesy bootsy and very much of that like whimsical brand. I mean, literally look at my nail set. I just got this set done. Is it not so gorgeous? It's literally amazing. It's giving like Tinkerbell realness, feeling very much like a forest fairy.
But don't you know you might have killed her? Tinkerbell?
So I'm very much in that energy right now, and I have some incredible recommendations for you from this genre. I feel like, again, it falls under the category of fantasy, but again, it's more like a niche genre of like, it's definitely going to be a little bit more quirky, more whimsy, more just like elements of fantasy they don't get to see a ton. It's definitely going to be like lower stakes, but still like with some action and adventure. And I hope that this will entertain some of you and that you might enjoy some of these whimsical cottagecore recommendations. But before we get into the recommendations, we have to go over what I just finished reading versus what I am currently reading. So, as you all know, I was in the midst of finishing Kingdom of the Claw by Demi Winters. I have finished it. Guys, absolutely incredible. I loved it. I gave it, I think, 4.5 stars. Or 4 stars. I can't remember. I think I liked this one more than I liked the first book. I feel like there was more going on and more adventure. I don't think it deserved a full 5-star though, because there were some things that bothered me in the way that the storyline is going. Like the very end, I felt like it was a little bit too rushed. I felt like she kind of like threw in this like last minute little thing just gonna like throw people off. And I was kind of like, oh, what are we doing here? Okay, I guess we're doing this now. Like, it's happening. Okay, interesting.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
So I'm really excited for book 3 though. I am definitely loving this very fun Viking series. If Viking book recommendations would be something that you guys are interested in, please drop a comment down below. I've been thinking about filming a Viking book recommendation video. But anyways, Kingdom of the Claw was fabulous. 4 stars, maybe 4.5 is kind of where I'm at with this one. Really enjoyed it though, super fun. Then I read, y'all are not even ready for this, I read Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. And if you've seen the discourse online, if you know, you know, okay? This is for my girls who want the spice. This is for my girls who want to like see some spice. Now, I have to be honest. The discourse online is very polarizing, okay? People are either going back and forth between this is so crazy and so spicy and like this is the craziest thing I've ever read. And then some people are like, it's pretty vanilla. Like it's pretty like whatever. And I'll be honest, I think I fall in the latter category.
You're a whore. Wear your whore makeup, you whore.
Okay? Like, maybe I'm a freak, okay? Maybe I'm a freak, okay? Maybe I'm a whore. I'm a harlot. I'm a darn harlot, okay? I'm sorry, guys, but like,
Lock her up. That's right. That's right. Lock her up.
Everyone kept saying, like, this is the craziest book ever. Like, it gets so wild. And I was just kind of like, I mean, like, yeah, there's some spice, but, like, it's not like it's, like, the craziest thing I've ever read. But maybe I'm a whore, okay? Maybe I am. So, in my opinion, I loved Deep End. I thought it was really fun. I feel like, the discourse online has been either, like, people love it or they hate it. I really enjoyed it. This was my first Ali Hazelwood that was a contemporary. I haven't read any of her other contemporaries. The only one I've ever read of hers was Bride. And you all know how I feel about Bride. It's the greatest thing that has been ever given to the face of the planet Earth. I love Bride. Ali Hazelwood, quit your day job, write more paranormal romance. Anyways, but I enjoyed Deep End. I thought it was really fun. It was interesting to see, like, the college dynamic between these Stanford students. I love reading about these athletes because it's obviously a book about a swimmer and a diver on the Stanford team. And it was so interesting to read about that dynamic. Again, I could go into a full discourse about this book, but, like, I just felt like the spice, like, that was happening is something that I would see in a lot of the fantasy books that I've read. And so, like, it didn't surprise me. I think it was just that because this book is more focused on, like, the drawn written contract of, like, quote unquote, like, having a sex contract. Okay, roll with me.
What did you say, punk?
Kind of like having that sort of thing. It made it so official, and I think it, like, startled people. Whereas for me, I was kind of like, oh, like, this is, like, kind of the vibe. There's no, like, set in stone rules, but, like, this is kind of the vibe of a lot of other books that I've read before in a less intense way. But, like, again, I was like, I had fun. I thought it was good. I give it 4 stars. 4 stars for Deep End. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute, and I would definitely want to read more of Ali Hazelwood's other contemporaries. And then I finally finished. I'm so excited, guys. It dropped legitimately on Tuesday. My favorite cowboy author of all time. We have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Guys, I stayed up till 4 a.m. last night reading this book, and you can probably tell. I stayed up till 4 in the morning reading this book. This one is in the Rose Hill Ranch series. So there's 3 books in this series now. It's Wild Love, Wild Eyes, and Wild Side. Wild Side is about one of the young women in town named Tabitha. She owns a restaurant. Her sister has unfortunately passed away due to drug overdose, and she has a younger son named Milo. He is like 3, and basically she finds out that her sister has given custody to the landlord living next door of the house that her sister was living in, and his name is Reese Dupriest, and he has a secret past, and he does pro wrestling, and he, like, doesn't want anyone to know, though, because he don't want people to know that he's famous and whatever. Anyways, and so Tabitha and Reese essentially, like, decide to get married when things get tough because they don't know how to handle this situation with, like, sharing custody of Milo, because technically, like, Reese is his legal guardian, but, like, that would be taking him away from his family, which is Tabitha, like, her sister. So it's a whole mess of a thing. Obviously, with every Elsie Silver, there's going to be a mess. It's going to be drama. It's going to be messy. For me, like, really fast, just to wrap this one up, like, I loved it. I think I gave it 4 stars in the Elsie Silver realm. I think I still prefer, I think the Chestnut Springs is her best. And then I think that the second book in the Rose Hill Ranch series, Wild Eyes, is my favorite. But this one was so sweet. This one was pain and suffering. Normally with the Elsie Silver books, it's like we start off, like, on a little bit of a high, and, like, we introduce it all, and it's, like, really fun. And then we down hard pivot because something bad happens. And then it, like, resolves itself. This book started out with pain and suffering. Like, I was in tears at the first, like, 50 pages of this book. Like, my heart was breaking. There was so much anger, so much angst, so much grief. I just loved it. I thought it was everything. And I thought it was a really interesting way to start this book. And then it just, like, ended on a high, which I was very grateful for, because I'm like, I don't know if my heart can take any more devastation and loss. Like, I was going through it with this book. The spice in here is spicing, and it is so good. Love it. It was very, very good and cute. And yeah, I 10 out of 10 recommend Wild Side to everyone. Literally such a fun book, such a fun read. So glad I read it. And now, because I just finished Wild Side last night, I am going to start reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. Everyone has been raving about how freaking cute this little, like, Sleepless in Seattle rom-com is, and I'm literally so excited to read it. So this is what I'm going to be currently reading. So excited to read it. It's going to be super fun. So that's a wrap on what I just finished reading versus what I'm currently reading. Now, enough about those recommendations. It's time to start with our whimsical cottagecore fantasy book recommendations. Let's get started. To first start off, we cannot start off without talking about probably one of my favorite things I've read so far this year, and that is Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. Guys, I raved, I cried on the internet, I crashed out online over this book. You saw the short, check it out. You'll see it on the channel. It's right in the front. I cannot stop thinking about this book. I can't stop thinking about the Forest Fairy vibes. Like, this book, legitimately, when I finished reading it, besides the fact of crashing out over how freaking sad it was, I just couldn't help, having this, longing. I feel like with whimsical cottagecore books, you have this longing for the life that they have a little bit of this, I just want to be a fairy so bad, guys. I hate the mortal realm. The mortal realm freaking blows. I want to go to the fairy realm. I want to be a garden fairy. I want to be a garden fairy so badly. I just want to go and be a fairy and have little acorn hats and little petal skirts. And I just want to do cute little fairy things with little animals. And it's just this book. Makes me so mad because I want what they have. I want what they have. This book is nothing but charm and whimsy and light, and the romance between, as I've described before, is between Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory. Again, if you have not watched the Pixie Hollow movies or Secret of the Wings, you have to go watch them before you read this book. This book is based off of the romance from the 4th movie, Secret of the Wings, between Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory, the Queen of Pixie Hollow and the Lord of the North and the Winter Courts. And spring and winter fairies cannot be together because their wings are too fragile to survive in each other's environments. And yet these two defy every law to try to be together. And it is devastating. It is heartbreaking, but it's probably one of my favorite things I've ever read when it comes to whimsy and fantasy. It just makes you want to be in this world. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's a gorgeous place. It reminds me of my childhood. I just love it. I think this book is so cute, and it's a 5-star read for me. I just love this book. Then going off of more of the cottagecore cutesy vibes, we have The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This one is a book that screams low stakes cozy fantasy. Okay, very much cottagecore fantasy. So this book is about a very sweet introverted librarian who works at a great library in a big city. Her name is Kiela. And she has a anthropomorphic plant named Kaz. He's a plant who just is her little sidekick. Anyways, one day there's rebellions in the city and they have to flee the country. And she decides to go back home to her homeland where she's from, this little sweet island with cloud bears and flying kitties with wings, and she opens up her cottage. Her parents are long gone, and she decides to stay in her parents' old cottage and open up a underground spell shop to help the island with its magic. And underground, she's using it as a cover. She decides to make jam. So she sells jam, but the cover for the shop, the underground cover, is that it's a spell shop and she gives spells to people with magic and stuff. It's very charming, very sweet, very cute. Kiela is very sweet, introverted, is not really aware of what's going on. She's more of just keeps to herself, but then there's a sweet mer horse farmer. Yes, you did not mishear me. Mer horses, mermaid horses.
Yeah, lost me again. Yeah.
I know. The book screams enchanting, whimsical, delightful. It is very sweet, very cute. I think I gave it a 3.5, 4 star. Very much a fun read. It is extremely low stakes, but again, so fun and charming and a very magical place to fall into. Again, it gives you all the vibes of just fairies and whimsy and all the fun stuff. So again, if you're looking for something very enchanting and fun to read, I love this one. There is a little romance in here. It's very sweet, and I think this book is so darling. The next one I want to recommend is a slightly more twisty gothic cottagecore whimsical fantasy, but again, falling into the same veins of quirky, low-stakes adventure. We have Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. A very small book. As you can see, this is a tiny little novella. It is very sweet, very cute. It's about a young woman named Mara. She was raised in a convent. She's the third born daughter to a royal family, and she's been watching her sister, who's the second above her, struggle in an abusive marriage most of her life. And so Mara decides to do something about it. And she seeks out a magic spell that will help release her sister from this pain and burden. And the spell goes, it's literally just 3 things. She needs to build a dog of bones, sew a cloak of nettles, and capture moonlight in a jar. But obviously, as she tries to do this, her plans go completely awry. And she ends up having to team up with, quote, a disgraced knight, a reluctant fairy godmother, and an oh my gosh, I can't say that word.
You live in what kind of home?
Okay,
don't hurt yourself.
Enigmatic grave witch and Her Foul Familiar. So again, this one's very much like team joint effort is going to like rescue a princess from a foreign land, except she's not the princess getting rescued. She's saving her sister, who's the princess. Absolutely love this book. It is very whimsical, very like honestly like spooky ooky vibes a little bit, but more along of like a group adventure, a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of romance, and it's very charming to read. A charming read. That's how I would describe this. Very fun, very sweet, very cute. I hope that y'all give this one a chance. The next book I want to recommend to you guys is one that I actually just realized I forgot to mention in this week's reading recap. I finished Swordheart by T. Kingfisher this week, and I forgot to talk about it, but that's perfect because this is what this video is about. This is a darling little whimsical fantasy that T. Kingfisher has just recently republished. I think it was published like it did like she did the indie publishing, and now it's been recently republished in this gorgeous like new little hardback with these gorgeous sprayed edges. Swordheart is about a young woman named Hala who's essentially received a lot of money for an inheritance because her great uncle died, and now her extended family, who is awful, is trying to marry her off. And she doesn't want to get married. She's like in her mid-30s. She's like an older woman. And I kind of like reading a book about an older woman. It's actually kind of sweet. And like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I read about these like 16-year-old heroines and I'm kind of like, oh, like so annoying. So it's kind of nice to read from the perspective like a slightly older woman. It like, it's more mature and I kind of like it. Anyways, so she is trying to defend herself and from this family, and there's this sword that's in her bedroom, and she unsheaths it to defend herself. And when she does, she realizes there's a man inside named Sarkis, and he's an enchanted man who's been designed to like enter the sword and protect whoever wields the sword. And so Sarkis has been on the battlefield for years and years and years, centuries long. He's been inside this sword, so he's used to fighting off like huge threats and armies and things like that. He just doesn't realize that this new threat is fending off like in-laws for this poor woman and essentially trying to help her get her inheritance back in this home. So again, it's very sweet, very cute, very whimsical. Hala and Sarkis end up like, there's a romance that starts and it's very sweet between them. Something that I like about this book is that there's like a sense of propriety and like manners. I kind of like when books have like rules and stipulations of kind of like, oh, well, that's not proper. Or like, we couldn't do that because it's not proper. Like, I kind of live for when rules have a little, or like when books have a little bit of like proper rules and manners. Very like almost Bridgerton vibes in that way.
Why should you be first? Because I'm a lady, that's why.
Swordheart was completely enchanting, very cute, a super fun read with some like great moments in between, and it had like slightly higher stakes than a lot of these books I'm recommending to you, and a lot more adventure and like willy-nilly charmingness. And so again, thoroughly enjoyed this one. Another T. Kingfisher, very fun, very cute, very whimsical. And the last but certainly not least is a book I absolutely adore and love. Focusing on that Netherland kind of like folklore and mystery, we have Where the Dark Stands Still by A.B. Porniak, or Pornek, whatever, however you say her name. I always screw it up every time I say it. This one is about a young woman named Liska who has magic abilities but doesn't know how to control them and runs away into the magical woods near her home, where she discovers the ancient being called the Lezi, who essentially is the keeper of the woods. He owns a creepy, crawly little mansion in the middle of the woods, and she makes a deal with him. She says, I'll work with you for a year, like work as your like housekeeper of your mansion, keeping up whatever. And if you promise to remove my magic in a year. And he agrees, and they end up striking up this bargain between them. But there's a lot of hauntings and goings on. The forest is dying and they need to figure out why. And the Lezi and Liska end up like falling in love in a way. So again, this one is more of a creepy crawly, a little bit more of a spooky, whimsical fantasy. But again, it's like enchanted mansion inside of a forest. Like it's very much like dealing with the forest fairy god in a way. It's very fun and romantic and sweet. I really like this one. It's very much part of those like spooky gothic vibes in a way because there's some spooky moments. But I really, really love this one. I think that the characters are very sweet. This is a YA novel. And so the characters are a little bit younger. But again, I really appreciate like the concept, and I love the mythology that comes from the Netherlands in this. It is very, very, very interesting and a really fun concept to read about. Thoroughly enjoyed this book. I think I gave this one 4 stars when I read it last time. A very fun read if you're looking for something a little bit different and new. So that is all the Whimsical Cottagecore fantasy book recommendations I have for you guys today. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, do not forget to like, comment, subscribe to the Living Literature YouTube channel. Again, guys, if there's any book videos that you would like to see on my channel, please feel free to recommend them down below. Regardless, I love you guys the most, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.